Pranayena. Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namavam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pachitya Deshatarini. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siyat Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All glories to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Gita Mahatmya, Divya Mataji, is that possible to you read? Arvindan Prabhu?
Sure, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Ya Snoti Cha Gitartam Kirtayadi Eva Ya Param Sravayek Cha Parartham Vai Sa Prayati Param Padam. One who attentively hears and sings the glories of the purport of the Gita or reiterates that purport to others, such a person attains to the supreme destination.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So one who attentively hears and sings the glorious of the purport of the Gita or reiterates that the purpose to other, such a person attains to the supreme destination. So not only recite the Gita, but together, along with that, reading purport, the purport which is given in Bhagavad Gita, the purport which is wrote by Srila Prabhupada. So therefore, the purport is very important because the purport giving so much of wonderful understanding about what Krishna is going to tell. So this purport is very important, and those who actually reading the purport and read that to others, Krishna tells you, Lord Shiva told in Gita Mahatmya that you will attain supreme destination. Therefore, not only the Sanskrit verse, but also the purport. So there is how many verses in Bhagavad Gita? Can anyone answer? How many verses in Bhagavad Gita? I have mentioned this in the first class. Do anyone remember? You can even message me in the chat box. Thank you, Yohendran Prabhu. Yes, 700 verses. 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita. And for all the purpose, all the verses, Prabhupada have wrote his purport. And all that purport is not repeated in other verses. So therefore, Prabhupada have given his day and night, his blood. He spent so much of time in just writing this purport of Bhagavad Gita. And imagine how wonderful Prabhupada have given this Bhagavad Gita to us. And this Bhagavad Gita, this purport have been translated to more than 100 languages. We have, in any languages, we have this Bhagavad Gita. In Chinese, in Malay, even in Arab words, we have this Bhagavad Gita. But only this Malaysian government does not allow us to translate in pure Malaysian Malays. So therefore, there is a Malay version of Bhagavad Gita, but that is Indonesia verse, Indonesian Malays. But it is similarly like to our Malaysian, but some words are different. Therefore, the purport is very important. So today we're going to chapter 17, the division of faith. So this is actually the last chapter of our Bhagavad Gita. Supposedly to be 18th chapter, but actually by right, this is the 17th chapter. Is actually Krishna finished all his theory, all his instruction, all his whatever he going to tell. He already finished at chapter 17. So, but chapter 18 is the conclusion of all the chapters. Whatever Krishna tell from chapter 1 to chapter 17, Krishna have concluded everything in the chapter 18. So in chapter 18, we just going to see whatever, it's a small recap of the entire Bhagavad Gita. And that is also a longest chapter. Okay, the longest chapter is actually chapter 2, which is contained of 72 verses. And the next is chapter 18. So tomorrow will be our last class, our last day of Gita again. Those who wanted to continue to level 2, please do so. But I might be not there. I'm not very qualified to teach level 2. It's more scrutinizingly we go deep into this Bhagavad Gita. So therefore, I also still learning this Bhagavad Gita. Every day I am reading this Bhagavad Gita. I still couldn't understand so much of things. So therefore, level 2, I'm not qualified. Even level 1, teaching you all also, I'm not qualified. But by the request of the devotee, by the request of the management, the temple management, so I have to come down and teach, share, not teach, but share some knowledge that I have known. For the pleasure of Krishna, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of my Guru Maharaj. So I have to do some service for the Lord. So this chapter, division of faith, so Krishna will tell here that why we should follow the scripture, and Krishna will talk about some material mood. Okay, we have already seen the mood of material nature, which is contained of what is the 3 material mood of nature? Can anyone answer? What are the 3 moods of material nature? Can you volunteer to answer?
I'll try, Prabhu.
Yes,
The
yes.
3 modes are goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Yes, Prabhu. So Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. So that is the material mood of nature, and Krishna will go some further explanation of this material mood of nature. So anything which is from the previous chapter, any lesson? Do anyone remember what is the title of chapter 16? Rajeshwari Mataji, would you like to try?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
So the title of chapter 16 was the divine and demoniac natures.
Yes. Mataji.
So those who are demoniac are actually not clean. They would not have proper behavior, and there is no truth found in them.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much. So that's actually the characteristic of people in the mode of demonic nature. So they are like that. So Krishna here will tell you actually why we should be in the mood of goodness. So in the mood of goodness, only in the mood of goodness, we can understand the Lord. Because Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the purest, is so pure, is so purity. So therefore, we have to also be pure. So therefore, we have to come to the mood of goodness. Therefore, we have to practice the devotional service. Therefore, Prabhupada have established this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. For what? Because we practice this devotional service. So therefore, we will come to the mood of goodness. So when we come to the mood of goodness, when we are in the mood of goodness, we maintain the mood of goodness without influence of material mood of passion and mood of ignorance. We able to realize who we are, and then we will realize who we are. We are not this body, we are this soul. We can say that we are not this body, We are not this body, we are the soul. We can, by verbally we can tell, but the self-realization, we have to understand, we have to come to the self-realization. We have to realize that by ourselves. So for that, we have to come to the mood of goodness. Therefore, Prabhupada have established this International Society of Krishna Consciousness to practice this devotional service. So, Ramesh Prabhu, would you like to, is that possible to you?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Arjuna Vacha. Ye Sastra Vidim Utstraja Yajante Sat Hayan Vita. Tesam Nista Tuka Krishna Satvam Aho Rajas Tamam. Arjuna inquired, O Krishna, what is the situation of those who do not follow the principle of scripture but worship according to their own imagination? Are they in the goodness, in passion, or in ignorance?
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna,
thank you.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Arjuna inquired here, for Krishna, what is the situation those who do not follow the principle of scripture? Yesterday, the last verse of chapter 16, Krishna tells, those who are actually not following the scriptural injunction, they are those who are not following the Vedic literature or whatever the Vedas tell, if instruct, they are in the mode of demonic nature, they are in the mode of ignorance. And Arjuna here wanted to clarify that, oh Krishna, what is the situation? What is the situation? Those who do not follow the principle principle of scripture and worship according to their own imagination. So some of these things, some of our tradition, we can see from our parampara. From parampara means from our grandfather, grandmother. Some of the things that they do, it's out of mental speculation. Not everything, but some of the things we can see out of mental speculation. It is not following the principle of scripture. Okay, that is not following this principle of scripture. Okay, and Arjuna asking here, are they in the goodness, in the passion, or in the ignorance? Ekantipriya, would you like to try?
Sri Bhagavan Shava Sri Viha Bhavati Shraddha Dehinam Sa Sabaha Ja Satviki Rajasi Kaiva Tamasi Setikam Sudanu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, according to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's fate can be of three kinds: in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance. Now hear about this.
Thank you so much, Ekantipriya. So Krishna tells here, the Supreme Personality of God said, according to the theme, the mood of material nature acquired by embodied soul, one faith can be of three kinds. So the faith on us, okay, it is influenced by the three mode of material nature. By how it is influenced? It is influenced, it is based on what we are doing, to whom we are associating, what we are eating. All these things actually influence our faith on God. If we associate with the people in the mood of ignorance, of course, we also will be influenced in the mood of ignorance. And if we associate with the people of mood of passion, of course, we will be also in the mood of passion. So, and not only to whom we associate, what we are doing, our daily routine actually influence our lifestyle. Not only what we are doing, what we are watching. It's very important what we are watching. And also what we are reading. what are we are eating, all these things actually influence our mood. And that one can be actually alleviated one person to one mood to another mood. And Krishna described here in chapter 17, text 8 to text 10. Prabhupada and Krishna have actually described about the food. What are the food which is comes under the category of mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So maybe Rajeshwari Mataji, would you like to try?
You mean read, is it?
Yes,
Read
yes,
the
ma'am.
table.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So for the modes of goodness, the characteristics are the food are actually juicy, wholesome, fatty, pleasing to heart. The effect increases duration of life, purifies strength, health, and satisfaction. Whereas for passion, the characteristics too bitter, sour, pungent, salty, hot, dry, and burning. The effect, distress, misery, disease. Finally, for ignorance, the characteristics are tasteless, decomposed, putrid, food consisting of remnants, untouchable things. The effects are sleep, laziness, and merciless.
Thank you so much. So here Krishna explained about the food, which is what food are coming into the mood of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So the mood of in goodness, it is not only vegetables, but some fruits, some nuts, milk. All these things are coming under the mood of goodness. So actually, and it is pleasing to heart. So it's pleasing. And it's another important thing in the mood of goodness is actually it is increase the duration of life. Okay, it's increase one's duration of life. And whereas the mood of passion, we can say the food which is too sour, too pungent, too hot, salty, it is all contained in the mood of passion. And the effect are miseries and can cause us so much of diseases. For example, the fast foods, okay, and a food which is prepared in restaurant. All these things is actually coming under the mood of passion. And also ignorance. Ignorance is tasteless, decomposed. Decomposed means which is already, it is like it's already packed in a tin, which is kept for 3 months, 4 months. It has been expired date. For example, the what we can tell a sardine tin. Okay, normally the sardine fish is packed in a tin and it's kept for some time. That actually it is categorized as ignorance. Another thing which is actually packed in a tin, okay, which is an expired date. Okay, so all this is coming in the ignorance. And also the food which is prepared more than 3 hours. You eat a food which is more than 3 hours except prashadam. Krishna tell in the purport Prabhupada that except prashadam, whatever food which is kept more than 3 hours is actually decomposed. So therefore, it is not very healthy to keep the food for more than 3 hours and heat up again. So we can, but it is not, the prashadam is not coming into that category because prashadam is always transcendental. So even you heat up in the next day, prashadam is always prashadam. So therefore, yeah, food, we have to very careful what we are eating, and that food actually affect our consciousness. So therefore, there is a art of cooking. Okay, there are art of cooking. There is Dhammoddara Swami is a disciples of Prabhupada. He tells that the food which is you cook is not ingredient, it is your consciousness. The food we are cooking is not the combination of ingredients, but it is the consciousness. In what consciousness we are cooking? It's very important because we are not only eating, but we are also serving that food to the family members. So therefore, the consciousness, in what consciousness you are actually cooking. It's very important. So therefore, a devotee should always think, when we are cooking, we should always think that I am preparing the food to the Lord. So therefore, we have to be very clean when cooking. And Prabhupada have giving the instruction, and Prabhupada have giving the instruction of the rules of kitchen. One should be very clean when enter to the kitchen. One should not eat at the kitchen. One should not taste the food. When one should not talk while cooking. So this is all the criteria of to cook. So therefore we have to be very clean, should not talk mundane things, and we have to keep our consciousness. Okay, in God the best is to keep our consciousness is in the God consciousness. So therefore, devotee always practice that on their radio by this Hare Krishna Kirtan or any lecture of Prabhupada or any Prabhupada chanting while they cooking. So easy to them focus or keep their consciousness. Because even the worst king, so-called nice king in the country, they are maintaining a first-class food. No, they are eating a first-class diet, and they are cookers. The cook who is cooking for the king, they are very expert. They are preparing the first-class food. And now we are what to talk about preparing the food to the God. So we have to extra careful. So therefore, Krishna tell in the 9th chapter, Patram Pusham Palam Toyam, even you offer with me a food, a flower, a water, a fruit, I will accept it, but with devotion. Therefore, it is mentioned in that purport that we have to always offer the food which is in a sattvic mood. So therefore, people might ask that, oh, why cannot I offer some flesh meat to God? Because Krishna tell by devotion and love, you accept whatever I'll accept. So therefore, I also cooking some flesh meats and with love and devotion, but that is not actually accepted. Prabhupada tell Krishna has only accepted the food which is prepared in the mood of goodness. So therefore, if you see in any temple, we are practicing the vegetarianism. The vegetarianism is very important in order to offer to the God. So it is always in the mood of good. And in the passion, it is like a fast food, and the causes, the effect is misery, disease, and always stress. Like the fast food, like this McDonald's, like this KFC, is in the mood of passion. And also in ignorance. Ignorance is flash meats. Okay, people are actually eating even worse than flash meat. We can see in China, in the Wuhan, the cause of corona is actually the market. The Wuhan market is actually eating so much of undigestible food. Okay, I don't want to name it, but so disgusting. That is actually how even worse than mood of ignorance. So this is actually Krishna is actually telling the food. And there is also another verse we can see that it is explained that you are what you eat. You are what you eat. You are what you are watching. You are what you are listening. You are what you are reading. Therefore, you are what you eat. If you eat some animal which is died, so you are making your stomach graveyard. So therefore, it is important to us practice this vegetarianism. So the next chapter 17, text 11 to chapter 17, text 13, Krishna explained about the sacrifice, different types of sacrifice, which is contained and different types of mode. Navamani Mataji, would you like to read?
Sacrifice, goodness, performed according to scriptures, matter of duty, desire no reward. Passion, performed for some material benefit for the sake of pride. Ignorance, performed without regards to scriptures, no distribution of prasad, no chanting of Vedic hymns. Without faith, no remuneration to priests.
Thank you so much, man. So then the sacrifice in the yajna, sacrifice means yajna. Yajna also we have three types of sacrifice. One in the mood of goodness. The mood of goodness means they are chanting their Vedic hymns, the Vedic mantra. They are distributing some prasadam, assembles of devotees. So this is the sacrifice of in the mood of goodness. For example, the worship of this sacrifice which is done by King Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj is actually incarnation of the Lord. So whenever this King Prithu is actually going to do big yajna, so this Lord Indra is come to try to steal some things from the yajna. So therefore, every time when King Prithu wanted to perform this yajna, therefore it's failed. It will fail. So therefore, he tries 99 times of doing this yajna, and this yajna is the one of the biggest yajna he do is Ashwata. So yesterday we have read this from Gita Mahatmya. In the Gita Mahatmya is tell that the biggest sacrifice is the sacrifice of Ashwa. We call that as Ashwata. So therefore, by reading this Bhagavad Gita, one can equal to that area. So therefore, this is the area which is done by King Prithu Maharaj. But but this king was actually doing yajna in the mood of goodness. Why? He is doing for the Lord Vishnu. So, and then this is a very big story actually for King Prithu. This is a very big story of King Prithu Maharaj doing a yajna, and the Indra come and steal this yajna, and therefore the yajna is cancelled. So 99 times he tried, and then at the end of the yajna, the end of the 99 times, Vishnu himself come to the arena of yajna and giving the darshan to King Prithu. So this is actually one of the story, and one which is related to the mood of goodness. And the yajna, or the sacrifice which is done in the mood of passion, it is performed for some material benefit. What are the, for example, that the story we have seen in the previous chapter? Do anyone can recall what is the what we call that the dhyana, the yoga which is done for some material benefit? I have actually tell this story. If anyone can remember, he do for he wanted the kingdom. So therefore he go to the forest and meditate upon the Lord Vishnu. What is the story's name? Ekantipriya, do you remember the story? Does anyone remember what's the story about? He wanted some material desire, therefore he go to the forest. He made Narada Muni.
It's about a king who, his son who went to the forest. I forget the
Yes.
name. Should start with D, I guess.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And he end up with not. He ended up with not having that mission at the end. And he wanted to reach Krishna. Yeah.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Yes. So that's actually the sacrifice is done in the mood of passion. Okay, it's actually sacrifice. It's not sacrifice, it's actually austerity. But another sacrifice which shown in the picture is the son is called as a Jayama Jaya, Jayame Jaya. Okay, is the son of King Parikshit Maharaj. So do you remember the story of Parikshit Maharaj? Parikshit Maharaj is come under the lineage of Arjuna. He is the emperor of the world. So therefore, he have cursed by the small Brahmana boy. Okay, when he was go to hunting, and then he was so thirsty, he go to the ashram, he go to the Brahmana house. He saw the Brahmana is meditating and is shouting that I want water, but the Brahmana was in deep meditating. Therefore, he take a snake and put in the shoulder of the Brahmana. Therefore, the Brahmana boy, the son of Brahmana, cursed Parikshit Maharaj. Therefore, Parikshit Maharaj, you have to die in the 7 days. Then he made Shukadev Goswami, and Shukadev Goswami instructed. Therefore, the sons of Parikshit Maharaj. So actually at the end of the 7 days, Parikshit Maharaj is bitten by a snake, and then he died. But he died in a very transcendental way. It's not like die like an ordinary way, because he was listening to Srimad Bhagavatam by Shukadev Goswami. So he meant to die in 7 days. So at the end of the 7 days, the snake come out of the curse of Brahmana boy. Okay, so therefore this Jayama Jaya was very angry. Jayama Jaya is the son of Parikshit Maharaj. Oh, because of the snake, my father have died. Therefore, he performed a yajna, a sacrifice. He performed a sacrifice where all the snakes forcefully come to the yajna and die. Okay, forcefully by the chanting of the mantra, all the snakes are all around the world and then come and actually die this yajna. And then the story goes on, and then he gets some benefiction from the Brahma, I guess. Yes, it's a Brahma. I forgot the story. And then he have been relieved, and then also the snake population also will be increased. So before that, there is no snake. Because out of the curse, out of the out of the yajna performed by the Jayame Jaya, is actually the son of Parikshit Maharaj. And then it is the sacrifice which is done in the mood of passion. It is out of some material benefit. They have some purpose. They have some purpose. They have some intention, and they do for the sake of pride. Oh, I want name. By doing the mantra, everybody can recognize me. Okay, we can see they doing the yajna. It's actually Bhaktaram Yakna Tapasam. Krishna said, Bhaktaram Yakya Tapasam. All the sacrifice is meant to me, but some of them forget why we are doing the yajna. Therefore, they become the god there. Okay, we have seen materially, we can experience that. And then in ignorance, sacrifice which is done in ignorance is performed without regard of scripture. They don't even follow the scripture. The scripture say this, but they don't follow, but they follow out of their mental speculation. For example, people are doing for some political reason. Okay, even they doing some fire sacrifice. Okay, and then they burn some flag. That's also fire sacrifice, but without motivation. They don't know why actually they are doing. Okay, no chanting of the Vedic hymns. Vedic hymns means Vedic mantra. So when we say that, when we can see that by doing this yajna, this brahmana or this brahmana is chanting the mantra. Okay, therefore there is no chanting of Vedic hymns in the mood of ignorance. Okay, sacrifice in the mood of ignorance, there is no fire. Vedic mantra has been chanted, and there is no faith. There is no faith. Okay, they don't have faith, and then no remuneration into priest. Okay, usually when after the sacrifice we have to give some dakshana, some donation to the brahmana. We can see we have practiced this until now. Okay, whatever the sacrifice that had been done, no matter it is marriage, it is funeral, whatever, we will give some dakshana. That is actually must be followed. But people who in the mood of ignorance and doing sacrifice in the mood of ignorance, they will neglect, they will ignore to give some remuneration. Therefore, it is in the mood of ignorance. So any question in the term of sacrifice? No questions. We will go to the austerity. Okay, austerity which is done in the goodness, passion, and ignorance. So in the mood of passion, they perform out of transcendental faith. They have so much of faith, not expecting any material benefit, and they do for the sake of pleasing the Supreme. For example, we can say that devotee which is take fast on the Ekadasi. So in the Ekadasi, we are taking fast for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the Ekadasi we are taking. Okay, some of the questions also have been asked. There are also 2 Ekadasi in the month. Should we follow the both one for the beginners? Yes, not only for the both Ekadasi in the month, but every Ekadasi to the entire year. So 1 month we have 2 Ekadasi. We have to actually follow these 2 Ekadasi. It's why? Because of to the pleasing. Ultimately is to pleasing the Supreme. So by this following Ekadasi, we can actually become pure. The purity will come, because we also not only for the spiritual, but in the material, in the term of health, Okay, we are 360 days, we are eating carbohydrate. But that's Ekadasi only, we are retired. We are actually give up on this carbohydrate. For that only, that time, that day, that particular day, we will be free from toxic. So all the toxic from the body will come out. So in the term of health, in the term of spiritual, in the term of material, it's actually very good to observe this Ekadasi. But Ekadasi should be performed or should be fast to ultimately to pleasing the Supreme. So in the month of Ekadasi or in the day of Ekadasi, one required to chant more and to read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam to engage more in the service of the Lord. So there is also fasting, which is people fast and then they sleep the entire day. So that's not actually fasting, they are actually cheating. So fasting means it's not sleeping, it's actually engaging ourselves more into the service of God. Therefore, we'll become more pure, like chanting, like reading scripture. Okay, always talk about Krishna or always discuss about the scriptural injunction. That is in the mode of goodness. So once for the beginners who wanted to follow the Ekadasi, they can fast. By how we have to fast in the Ekadasi, one should actually okay, the highest is actually does not eat anything, even water. If you cannot do that, you can actually take water. So the next one is observing Ekadasi by taking fruits, nuts, and roots. Fruits, nuts, roots. These three things only. We will prevent from taking grains. Okay, like dal, like rice. So whatever contain grains, we shouldn't take. We will prevent from taking all these grain items. So we will only take fruits, nuts, and roots. Roots means we can take potatoes, we can take some kind of vegetable, not all vegetable, like carrots, because it's all growing under the ground. So therefore potato it's acceptable, recommended. Carrot is recommended, and all this cauliflower is recommended. So in these types of vegetables we can take, and then all type of fruit we can take, and nuts we can take some dates, some cashew nuts, some almonds. Okay, these all are high protein and will actually give you so much of energy. So we can drink coconut water, sugarcane, pure sugarcane water, not the tin one. So these all are giving so much of energy during the Ekadasi Vrata, Ekadasi fasting. So that is called the austerity, which is in the mood of goodness. So in the mood of passion, we are, when it comes to the mood of passion, austerity is done in the mood of passion, is ultimately performed out of pride, and then gaining some respect and honor and worship. So, for example, the austerity done by Dhruva Maharaj. So, Dhruva Maharaj is actually going to the forest for gaining his kingdom. So, he want some ownership, some worship. So, he want to gain some respect from his mother's stepmother. Therefore, he going to forest. So, out of pride, actually. And then in the mood of ignorance is some austerity which is self-torture. Okay, or injure others. For example, we can see the austerity which is done by Hiranyakashipu. Okay, by the meditating towards Brahma, the end is building his castle. Okay, so therefore it is torturing the self, torturing and also injury others. It's make injury to others. Therefore, it is done out of mood of ignorance, and it is foolishness. It is foolishness. Therefore, this is the three things which is done in the mood of goodness, passion, and pride. And then comes to the charity. The charity also have three moods: charity in the mood of goodness, charity in the mood of passion, and charity in the mood of ignorance. So in the mood of passion, in the mood of goodness, the characters are given dutifully, no expectation of return, at a proper time, proper place, and to a worthy person. Okay, so we have seen the charity which is done in so much of ways. So in the mood of goodness is recommended in the Vedas. We can actually, it is mentioned to us to give charity, but to whom we are giving, that is very important. So it is recommended that we can do charity in the mood of goodness by donating to some Vishnu temple, some temple which is constructing, and some sadhu, some sannyasi who came to actually preach this Bhagavad Purana or this Krishna consciousness or saintly person, a sannyasi, usually sannyasi, we can give to them because they are worthy person. They will never ask, but it's our duty to give some donation so that money can be used in the service of Krishna. So even Krishna tells that your money even can use in my service. So by donating to them, it is come under the category of mode of goodness, and also at a proper place and also proper time. The proper place means we can donate in the Vishnu temple. Okay, so in the mood of passion, charity done in the mood of passion is with expectation of return. For example, we give a present to our friend during his birthday. Okay, his birthday. So we will also expecting some return. Okay, now I'm going to present a very nicely and costly watch to my friend. Therefore, when comes to my birthday, he will also give some nice thing to. Okay, so that is the mood of passion, expecting something in return. So that one should be not followed. For example, in Indian tradition, we follow this, what culture we call that as giving some benefit. So the couple who's newly married, we call it their moipana. Okay, people actually listing out. Okay, now until now it is actually practiced. Okay, they are practicing. Okay, this plug giving this plug this. So when they married or when their house function, we also have to give more than what they give. Okay, let's say they're giving 100 ringgit to our wedding. When come to their wedding, we have to give 1 ringgit extra, 101 ringgit. This is actually comes in the mode of passion, right? And we also will list out this Indian mother. We always list out. Okay, I have given to this family 100 ringgit, this family 50 ringgit, this family 200 ringgit. And then when our event comes, they collect all this what we moipanam, and they will check. Oh, I giving 100 ringgit, but this fellow giving 50 ringgit. So cheap fellow. This is more of passion. And until now, yes, it is practicing. They are listing out. So whatever we give, we should not expecting that back. That is not a proper way. That is with the desire of fruit. Okay, the desire of fruit. Okay, so therefore we can present them whatever we want. Yes, materially or spiritually, but should not accept that back, expect that back. But it is very hard, to accept without expectation. Expectation is lead to disappointment. So Bhagavad Gita is teaching here, not the scientist or not the philosopher actually coming with the quote, but actually whatever they are telling is coming from Bhagavad Gita. Expectation is lead to disappointment, right? Therefore, so we can actually practice that giving. If someone's birthday, we can actually start to giving this Bhagavad Gita, free Bhagavad Gita to them. Actually, among all the sacrifice, among all the charities, the biggest charity is the charity of this Bhagavada. Okay, among all this dana, people, if we ask people, among all this dana, they tell the Annadana is the most top. But in the Vedic scripture, among all the dana, the Shastra dana, donating the Shastra to others is actually the topmost. Therefore, we usually will give free Bhagavad Gita. Okay, if we have some Bhagavad Gita, we will donate that Bhagavad Gita. And people in devotee usually, when coming to this Gita Jayanti, so Gita Jayanti is the anniversary of Bhagavad Gita, people will pledge more, donate more Bhagavad Gita. So it is some school, some libraries, some Tamil school. Okay, usually the ISKCON devotee will always do ISKCON temple. always practicing by giving some Shastra Dana. So even you giving this Bhagavata Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam to your friends or to your neighbors or to whatever relative you have, you are donating, that is actually mode of goodness. It's actually beyond the mode of goodness, mode of transcendental mode. Okay, so it's recommended. So maybe after this Gita again, you can take some vows. Okay, what if any birthday comes in my family, I will gift a Bhagavad Gita. So actually what I do is take some bulk of Bhagavad Gita and keep it in my home. So when my friend's birthday comes, I will take one Bhagavad Gita and give it to them. So therefore, all my office colleagues, I have around 20 colleagues in my department. Okay, so I'm working in an audit field. So therefore, I have 20 colleagues. So every one of them have Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, I take some practice that I don't give any material, but I give this Bhagavad Gita. Sadly, one day you don't even understand. So one day, like you all, one day you are keeping this Bhagavad Gita for 5 to 6 years. So now this is the opportunity, and through this Gita again, you actually go through this Bhagavad Gita. So someday or some whatever, they will be also have this opportunity. So this is the mode of goodness and mode of passion. And mode of ignorance, the charity is done by the mode of ignorance, is at impure place. Okay, at an improper time to unworthy person. To actually the people who are actually sleeping in the street, we are giving out of some mercy. Actually, we are giving some donation, and they will buy some liquor or alcohol. And for that, actually, we have to suffer their karma. Okay, not they will never suffer the karma. We will suffer the karma because of our money, they are buying some alcohol, some drugs. So therefore, it is out of ignorance. And to the unworthy people, is they are unworthy, they are improper, and without proper attention and respect. Okay. So therefore, this is the 3 types of charity. Any question in this?
Yeah. What about donating for homeless? In which category does this fall on?
Homeless is coming into the mood of passion. Why we are doing some charity for the home? Because for some of reason we are doing, because okay, we have do so much of things. Okay, why not we doing some good? So actually in some other way we are doing for some, we are actually we actually desire for some pious activity, right? ஒரு புண்ணிய செயல்கள், நம்ம இவ்வளவு பாவங்கள் பண்ணிட்டோம், சரி நம்ம நல்லது செய்வோம். ஸோ நல்லது செய்யறதுனால நம்மளுக்கு புண்ணியங்கள் வந்து சேரும். So I have already told that even the pious, even you are doing good in the material world, you will be bondage in this material world. Even we are doing some good, of course, it will reduce it will come under the account of pious activity. So therefore, in the next birth also, we will never liberate it, but we will get a good birth in the next. So that's actually ultimate result of the giving donation to the homeless people. Am I clear, Prabhu?
Yeah, thank you.
So, but giving some prasadam to them is actually transcendental, because you are giving the mercy of the Lord. So, if you are going to the home or homeless or some orphanage, some old age home, it is recommended to give some prasadam to them, or give some this shastra, give some books of Prabhupada. So it's come under the mode, even this is beyond the mode of goodness. So this is the recap of chapter 17. This chapter 17 is very short. So the mode of determination, one's faith and one's worship. And a question which is Arjuna asked. So about the situation of one who worship but not according to Shastra, and Krishna replies, if one does not follow the Vedas, one will follow the natural instinct, which will in the goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Krishna also explained in the food in this mood. Okay, easiest way to discover person situation under the mood is by observing the food. And Krishna described food in goodness, passion, and also ignorance. And also Krishna explaining about sacrifice. Okay, one which is in the term of duty. Okay, I have done this yajna or the sacrifice, that is actually the mode of goodness. Expecting some result, that is the mood of passion, and also be unfaithful is in the mood of ignorance. And austerity, we can see austerity can be of the body, speech, and mind. And also non-material benefit. Non-material benefit is goodness, not expecting anything. And out of pride is passion, and self-torture is ignorance. So this is the recap of chapter 3. So, Priya, you want to read?
Even if one distributes 10 million cows in charity during an eclipse of the sun, lives at the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna for millions of years, or gives a mountain of gold in sacrifice to the Brahmanas, he does not earn 100th part of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Priya. So even if one distribute 10 million cow in charity, when you give donation a cow is very pious, is very auspicious. Those who actually donating cow to some temple, to not to shelter or not to shelter house, not for the purpose of shelter house, but giving some the mood of goodness, giving some cow to the charity, okay, to the some temple. It's called very auspicious. But even one distributed 10 millions of cow in charity during an eclipse of the sun, okay, and live at the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna for million of years, okay, and Yamuna and Ganga is considered pure. So, and living in the site of Ganga and Yamuna is also considered pure, and or given a mountain of gold sacrificed to Brahmanas, he does not earn 100 parts of the merit derived from chanting Hare Krishna. This is a heavy statement which is given by Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you can equal to distribute 10 millions of cow in charity. It's equal to live in a Ganga and Yamuna for million years. It is equal to you give a mountain of gold to sacrifice of Brahmanas. So this all will be equal in by just chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So the human society is actually meant to giving all this by doing all this pious activity. Of course, in the Satya Yuga, in the Tirtha Yuga, in Dropara Yuga, people are actually practicing this. Okay, they're giving 10 millions. Last emperor, before this Kali Yuga start, the emperor of the world actually, okay, you are in the trouble now. Your family is in the trouble in financial problem. Okay, I give 100 cows. Okay, take this 100 cows. So cows is actually considered a wealth to the people in Satya Yuga, Dropara Yuga, but here in the Kali Yuga, we are actually killing so much of cows. So therefore, we couldn't actually practice in the Kali Yuga. We cannot actually practice. Even we wanted to donate one cow, it's cost about 9,000, 5,000 to 9,000. And what to talk about 10 millions of cows, right? Even one cow, we cannot even do charity. But all this can be equal in one thing by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. See how merciful the Lord is. You don't have to do all this, but it is all a duty of a human being. But this is in the age of Satya Yuga, Dropara Yuga, Tirtha Yuga. But in the Kali Yuga, it's not recommended. And it is impossible to one mountain of gold to the sacrifice of Brahmanas. It is very auspicious actually to give some remuneration to the Brahmana. But actually we cannot do this in the Kali Yuga, right? It is impossible. We even 1 gram of gold, we don't even give to our wife. Even our friend, we don't have to, we never give. And what to talk about 1 mountain of gold to Brahmanas, right? But all these can be only equal or can be done by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore, this is very important to chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So therefore, okay, before we starting our chanting and finish the class, any question? Tomorrow is the last day of our class, 18 days. So you can prepare all these questions which is you wanted to ask. There will be some sharing session at the end of the class. So tomorrow's class will be a little bit longer because we will chant 108 times of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which will take about 5 minutes to 7 to 5 minutes, roughly that time. Okay, it's but below than 10 minutes. So we will chant 108 times of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra tomorrow, and there will be some sharing session how actually this Gita Gyan course was, and any doubt, any other thing, you can actually share at the end of the class tomorrow. So tomorrow is chapter 18. Make sure you all come at the correct time, 8 o'clock. So, but we will finish a bit longer. So, any question?
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes.
Talking about the food just now, why should we avoid garlic and also onion?
Okay, nice question, Mataji. Why should we actually devotee of Krishna? Usually they don't take onion and garlic because onion and garlic is come under the mode of ignorance. So there are a few types of even it is vegetables, but it is come under the mode of ignorance. By eating garlic or onion, actually some bad mood, some bad habit will actually provoke, it will be agitated. For example, the lust, some pride. Actually, by eating onion, lust and pride will be a little bit increased. So therefore, we are avoiding this onion and garlic. It is not out of fanatism, no. But people will think, oh, these Hare Krishna people are fanatics. No, actually, onion and garlic is not under the mode of ignorance. Therefore, we will avoid this onion and garlic. Mataji. Am I clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. And one more question. Just
Yes.
now, under the mode of, the passion also comes too bitter. So when we say too bitter, what about vegetables like bitter gourd and is it like classified under ignorance as well?
No, Mataji, that is mode of goodness. Bitter means alcohol. Alcohol is bitter, right, Mataji?
Okay,
Liquor is bitter.
okay, I thought vegetables.
So it's too bitter. It is too. So therefore, it is come under the mode of passion. The wine is also bitter, if I'm not mistaken. So therefore, it is coming under the mode of passion, and even it's come under the mode of ignorance. Am I clear, Mataji?
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mataji. So if there is no question, Kantipriya. Okay. So we will chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra by chanting Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. So, okay, there is any question? If no question, we can end this session.
I have a question,
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu.
Is it necessary to chant the mantra in a fast pace?
Oh, okay. As long as you can chant and hear the pronunciation, Mataji, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you can hear whatever you chant, then it's okay, Mataji. But for the beginning, it is recommended to chant slowly for the first time or for the beginning level or for the earliest stage, you can even chant slower. And when you come expert, you can even chant faster, Mataji. So it is depend on how we chant and hear. So the most important is hear, chant and hear. Yes. Am I clear, Mataji? Hare Krishna, Mataji. Am I clear?
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So any other question? Okay, if no question, we can end our session here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.
Krishna,
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Vijayalakshmi Mataji. Do you have any question?